Welcome, everybody, to the Making Money Personal podcast. I'm Liz here with Kevin.
Good morning.
We're super excited for today's episode. So, today we are very happy to have on our show Sharleigh Thomson from Granite Edvance. Hello, Sharleigh.
Hello.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Is this the first time you've ever done a podcast or anything?
It is, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, this is your first debut, I guess. We'll put it that way, right?
Yeah.
So this episode is about college funding, but through like non-loan financial products like scholarships and grants. And Sharleigh is the pro in that area, right?
A little bit, yeah. I sort of accidentally fell into financial aid and college funding, but it is what
Fell
I do.
into it. I'm curious. How did that happen?
Yeah, I was working in professional theater, and then the pandemic hit. So I pivoted, and the only other thing I really knew was higher education. And I had just moved to Manchester, New Hampshire, so I threw out a whole bunch of applications to colleges and surprised myself by getting hired into financial aid, and I've been there ever since.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So coming on 6 years then?
Yeah,
5 or 6 years. Very cool. And you like it?
I do. I love it.
Yeah.
It's good.
What's the most fun part about it? If you don't mind me
Um,
asking.
Financial aid is a puzzle, which I enjoy a lot, and it was something I struggled a lot with as a student. So getting to kind of be that third party guiding through now is really nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on.
I was just going to support you and say how much it's needed because I think the landscape of college and higher education and the funding for that, there's a lot of navigation that's needed. So having a tremendous resource like Granite Edvance is amazing.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel the exact same way you felt. And that's why you guys are here, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Granite Advance is to help kind of clear up a lot of that
Yeah.
confusion and all that, the mystery of a lot of it. So, okay. So, that's a little bit about you, your role at Granite Advance. You've been there for a few years now. So to just get started, we just kind of want to bring in, we've had a lot of people on from Granite Advance to talk about college funding. They talk about the loan products and all that kind of stuff, the FAFSA. But what we want to bring in with you is scholarships, grants, and other ways that are not lending related that people can use to finance college. So, like, what's the difference between scholarships, grants, and other types of financial aid that people can use?
Yeah. Yeah. So I always tell families financial aid is really anything that is helping you offset what your direct out of pocket upfront expense is. So, what are you trying to pay for that first semester? So we have what we call self-help aid, which is when we're looking at loans, whether they be private or through the federal government. It can also be federal work study, which is kind of a wild card in terms of financial aid. And then they have what's called gift aid, and that's where we're looking at scholarships and grants. Those can come from the Department of Education at the federal level. They can come from the state level. They can also come school by school, institution by institution. But the primary difference, a scholarship is something that is at least partially merit based, meaning it's based on something the student has done to earn that. That could be their grades, it could be a really great essay, their athletics, work experience, something like that. And then there's grants, which are more based on a family's financial needs. So it's really not taking into account who the person is, it's really just looking at the numbers. But both scholarships and grants are free money. They're things that students typically do not ever need to pay back as long as they are maintaining whatever like set conditions there are for receiving that aid.
No, for grants, because obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but scholarships, there's federal scholarships too?
So there aren't necessarily federal scholarships. You see, there's a couple at the state level that are
State
considered
level. Got it.
scholarship
Okay.
through the Department of Education currently. There isn't a like scholarship program.
And the grants, obviously I know there's some federal grants. I think the Pell Grant is probably the only,
There's the Pell Grant and there's the FSCOG grant, which is the Supplemental Opportunity Grant. Very, very small in comparison to the Pell, but those are the federal too.
Are there grants outside of that you see for maybe like private ones? Obviously scholarships are offered through a lot of different resources, but the grants too?
Yeah, so I typically see grants through institutions themselves. So you will a lot of times see schools offer need-based aid
Gotcha.
through like the same kind of mechanics as the Department of Education does, but maybe with different thresholds. So someone might not qualify for the Pell Grant, but once the FAFSA information makes it down to a school, the school may have some grant funding to offer at that point.
And I think this is, well, I want to assume that, in case people don't know anything, the FAFSA, isn't there like a number that you have to get that's required for any funding?
For most places, yeah. So the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid.
Yeah.
The goal of the FAFSA is to collect a family's financial information and calculate, it's called a student aid index. It used to be
Right,
estimated
right.
family contribution. And really all that number is doing is like putting a family on a spectrum of financial need with the rest of the country. It goes from negative $1,500 to $999,999. And it's just trying to scale where a family's need is at. That number gets sent down to any schools a student lists on the FAFSA. And from there, that number is used to kind of help distribute whatever resources the school does have
Gotcha.
that are need-based.
Understand. Good.
Cool. Cool. So when it comes to finding scholarships and finding grants, we've already mentioned a couple of the big federal ones, and then
Yeah.
you said that the colleges themselves tend to offer grants. Are there other sources of grants and or scholarships? I mean, we know scholarships. Like I remember when I was applying for colleges, I remember they were talking about like the Dunkin' Donuts scholarship, and I mean, there's like all those too. So how would you recommend people go about looking for these scholarships and grants?
Yeah. So I would say grants, I don't really know of any resources where you can just like go apply for a grant beyond the FAFSA or looking into school by school. Scholarships are both easier and harder. We live in the internet age, so you can find a scholarship on any Google search you want.
And probably a lot of them,
and a
right?
lot of
Yeah.
them, yes. They can be really overwhelming, I find, for students because there are just so many opportunities. And parents are really gung-ho about, let's fill out a
Apply
scholarship
for
application.
500 of them, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and I'm
just keep
totally with the
going.
parents. But it is a lot of work. So I typically recommend finding a scholarship search engine. There are dozens of them, right? I have a lot of students who really like College Board's engine because they're already using College Board for their SATs or their PSATs, AP classes, any of that sort of stuff. So they don't need another account.
Yeah.
But I see students use Scholarships 360. The Department of Labor has a scholarship search engine. You just pick one.
Okay.
Most of them are duplicating the same kind of results. So I recommend families poke around, find one that like fits their vibe as people and doesn't feel too visually overwhelming, and just pick that one to be scholarship hunting. That's when we're like really kind of casting our net wide, right? So if we're looking at those scholarship search engines, we want to be getting kind of particular with the kinds of scholarships we're looking for, whether that's demographic information for the student, cultural or work experiences they've had, the major they're going into, where they're from, all that sort of stuff. But realistically, most students have the best luck starting as close to home as possible and kind of building out from there. So like the best resource you can have is a school counselor, right? If you are in a public school setting, if you are a traditional high school student, connecting with school counseling is going to be your best bet to start your scholarship search.
Correct.
Beyond that, like there's a lot of Lions clubs, Rotary clubs, even like your local pizza place, local fire station sometimes has them. So it's really about getting to know your community. I think it's kind of the cool part of scholarships is you get to be in your community and get to know people and just really talk about what you're looking for. If you are not a traditional high school student, may I recommend librarians? And really, just kind of build from there. So in your community and then to state and regional level, and then kind of breaking out into those bigger national level scholarships, I think helps keep the process from getting too big, too fast.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I appreciate you mentioned that because I know that in the community, right, there are, because you start to see these things, and it's funny you mentioned pizza place because the myriad of scholarships that are available out there, and I think that's a great strategy because if you just uncover those things, I wonder if the number of kids who go after those things if they don't even think about it or don't even think to look in some of those, I don't want to say obscure, but maybe some of those lesser known areas.
Yeah, the ones that aren't big enough to make it onto a search engine.
Yeah.
They're not going to be listed somewhere other than maybe the town Facebook page.
Right.
Also, I think with the things that I think you mentioned that they're interested in, right? Because you had mentioned that you did musical theater.
Yeah.
And I know oftentimes through clubs that they're involved with or even community clubs that they're not involved with, they usually have a scholarship of some kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of those. Like if you are playing a club sport, if you are involved in a rec league or a community theater or local arts organization, those are great places to be poking around into, even if they don't directly have something. If they know you're looking for scholarships, people find them. People will start sending them your way. So yeah, I think it's good to just know what you are aiming for and what you are coming from, and really use that to make connections and find those weird little opportunities that are kind of buried out there.
Yeah, I would. Is the strategy for that stuff is to grab as many as you can or apply for as many as you can?
Yes and no. So the more times you are entered into various opportunities, the more likely you are to be seen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But again, scholarship applications they're a lot of work, and I think that's part of what gets students stuck with them. So you want to be intentional about what you're applying for. Maybe don't sink all of your energy into the $500 scholarship, no essay opportunity that everyone and their uncle is applying to. But if there are scholarships that are really specific to who you are and what you're doing and what you want to do, yeah, it's worth maybe putting a little bit of elbow grease into that. Big tip with scholarships, most of them do not require like a brand new essay. That's not to say that you are like copying anybody, right? But you can reuse your essays. If you wrote something for your college applications, you can use that and tweak it to meet a college application scholarship prompt, right? That's very normal. It's very expected. So save everything you are writing for supplemental scholarships and college essays, and you can kind of Frankenstein those into whatever you need them to be for scholarship applications, making sure that you are, again, tweaking to meet the prompt. You don't want to use your why I want to go to your school prompt for the tennis scholarship, but you can definitely reuse those pieces to limit how much footwork you are doing for the process.
Got it.
Cool.
No chat GPT though.
Generally, I would avoid it.
Are there other types of entry requirements besides an essay that some scholarships might ask for?
Yeah, great question. So very often I see requests for transcripts. The kind of transcript we're looking for can vary scholarship by scholarship. Sometimes it's whatever your most recent is. If you're like a continuing college student, sometimes you're looking for the whole high school transcript, but that's pretty normal, looking for like proof of grades. Sometimes you will see requests for letters of recommendation, proof of identity, that kind of stuff. Occasionally you will find a video essay.
Well, that was my question. Like, would there be a point where they'd ask you to submit something like that?
Yeah, it depends on what you're applying for.
Yeah.
I think the kind of like photojournal, artistic video essay kind of stuff is becoming more popular, but it's still kind of slow, especially into those community level scholarship opportunities. I think we will see more and more of it as we go on. But yeah, those are definitely out there, and especially if you are applying for any kind of arts-based.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
because they want to see your proficiency, I suppose, right?
Yeah,
or
they're a lot of times going to want to see
Yeah.
your portfolio, your art, or if we're applying for something with video editing or media production, prove it.
Yeah, right. We want to see it.
That makes sense.
Show us how interested you are.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, can't apply for the tennis scholarship if you've never played tennis in your life. You can.
You can try, but yeah, you may not get it.
Yeah.
What's the most average range you see in terms of scholarship? I don't know if it's considered an award or what, but like value?
Unclear, honestly.
Okay.
It can range so much. Um, there was a program that was covering full gaps for students earlier this
Oh,
year.
wow.
And that could have been anything from $1,000 a year to $20,000 a year.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
I think most of the scholarships I'm looking at with a majority of my students are somewhere around $3,000 for 4-year programs. But then there's a lot of those like $500, $750 kind of
Yeah.
opportunities. And they stack up. So I don't think there's necessarily more value in one over the other when it comes down to what do you want to throw your applications into.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And another question I had thinking about this is, again, college is many, many years past for me. So, I mean, a lot of this is coming up to me now. Are scholarships typically for once you apply for the one, say you get it, is the funding available just for that 1 year? Or as, say, a college sophomore or college junior, are you, like, it won't cover you for all 4 years, right? Or does it vary?
It can vary. It depends on the program. There are definitely some that are like automatically renewable. So if you win
Okay.
them your freshman year, you, as long as you're meeting their standards, you can maintain
Okay.
that eligibility for 4 years. I think more common is non-renewable scholarships. You
Okay.
you have to reapply each year. There are a lot where you have to reapply each year, but you could win every year of school. You're just recompeting each time.
Okay.
But there are both kinds out there.
And they'll disclose that, right? Like that's when
Typically,
you
yeah.
do the search, that'll be there. Okay.
Yeah. And definitely, if they don't disclose it in your search, they're absolutely disclosing it in the award to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're saying, hey, you won $1,000 and you can win it again next year.
Cool.
Yeah, I've seen some where, like you had already mentioned, that if they award it to you, it is every year, but you have like a GPA you have to maintain, maybe in a particular subject, or a GPA overall has to be at a certain, or else you lose your funding.
That's
Yeah.
pretty normal
Yeah.
for renewable grants or scholarships. And there's also usually like an enrollment requirement. They usually want you to be at least half time. There are some that don't care at all, or that just shift or change how much you're eligible for based on how you're enrolled. But I see GPA and enrollment status be pretty standard things they can ask for to maintain eligibility.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, at this time, I think we're going to take a quick break. We have a short word from our sponsor, and then we'll be right back.
Your home is more than where life happens. It's also a financial resource. With a Triangle Credit Union Home Equity Line of Credit, or HELOC, you can access your home's equity for the things that matter most. From home improvements to major expenses, a HELOC gives you flexible access to funds when you need them. Put your home equity to work. Learn more or apply today at trianglecu.org. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Okay, welcome back. We're here talking
Welcome
with welcome back. We're talking with Sharleigh from Granite Edvance about scholarships and grants, and you covered so much good information in the first half of this episode about what scholarships are, how people apply for them, all of that. This segment, we want to kind of talk a little bit about work studies and those as an opportunity for college funding. So, like, can you walk us through a little bit about what they are and how students can find them and use them for college funding?
Yeah. Work study is a bit of a wild card. So when students see work study on financial aid offers, which is where it usually shows up if they're like immediately eligible, it is unique in that work study doesn't come off the top of your bill, right? So if you see that you have $2,000 in work study for a year, that is an allocation of funding that you could work for and earn over the course of a year, but it doesn't like directly impact your balance with the school. In order to earn that allocation of funding, students have to find a eligible job, work the hours, earn the paycheck, and then ultimately decide how they are using that paycheck. The most common type of work study is funded by the Department of Education. It's something students are eligible for through the FAFSA. How students use that paycheck, it's coming to them bi-weekly. It could be absolutely that they are using it to make payments on their loans, towards future tuition. Maybe they're paying for books. It could also be shampoo. It could be Friday night pizza. It could just be spending money for being a student in the world. And all of those are perfectly fine applications. But it really becomes at the discretion of the earner how they're using that funding.
So that's interesting because I guess I had an incorrect assumption of work study that it had to be put directly to your tuition. So you're saying whatever they work towards, they can actually use it.
Yeah,
It's almost like a job that they earn the money and they use it as they want.
exactly.
Huh.
Yeah. Ideally, it's being used towards quote unquote educational expenses. That's a pretty broad category.
Pizza can be an educational
Yeah,
expense.
well, it would be considered part of your personal expenses, right? But that's something that gets kind of rolled into cost of attendance for schools, so it isn't inappropriate to use it that way. And yeah, it truly is. It's just like a normal job. It's just sponsored by either the Department of Education. If it's institutional work study, it's being sponsored by the school themselves. It's just pulling from a different pot of funding.
So you might have already answered this because I have a son who's in school and he did do work study, but he was able to get work study within the field that he was studying. So is that obviously sounds like it's not a requirement that you could go find probably not like a normal job and consider that work study like outside of the school, or does it have to be? Are there some strict qualifications about where you get your work study?
Yeah, so there are some jobs that are work study eligible and some that are not. Usually they're hosted on campus.
Okay.
There are some schools where I see they have partnerships with community organizations or local businesses where they can hire students through that work study program off campus. But usually you're looking for work study jobs like directly through your university.
Okay.
There are also some on-campus jobs that are not work study required, right? You can apply there even if you didn't, oh my God, even if you didn't qualify for a work study. It's just, again, it's pulling from a different pot of funding. But usually they're on campus. I think one of the benefits of work study jobs is typically if a job is work study eligible, that's a job that's going to be willing to be more flexible maybe with the hours they're pulling for you. Are they going to be working around your class schedule, your sports schedule, your internships? Those are more likely with those like true work study in my experience. It's still a job. You still have to show up for the hours you're worked, but they're more likely to be flexible with what they're doing and know that you're prioritizing your education.
Now, if that doesn't show up in your financial aid, are you eligible for work study, or do you have to be allotted that as part of? Yeah.
You very well may be. If you don't see it on an offer letter, that doesn't mean you're not eligible. Federal work study is need-based, right? So it's based on similar criteria to the Pell Grant, with a very different threshold, but similar criteria. If you don't see it on a financial aid offer, I would just reach out to your financial aid office and see if it's something you need to like activate and show interest in, because that is the case at some schools. And if you're not eligible for work study, that doesn't mean you can't work while you're in school. It just means you're gonna be less limited by that work study factor,
Gotcha.
Because you're not looking just for those jobs that can hire work study. You could go work off campus at a restaurant or a bank or whatever. And sometimes there are jobs on campus as well that, again, don't pull from that same requirement.
Yeah, that makes sense because a lot of campuses have a Starbucks or something where, how that may fit into the whether it's work study or not. So I have seen that. So
the school I went to, our food services in general were not part of the work study program, and neither was our bookstore. So you could work for admissions as a work study student, or you could go make, $2 an hour more working for the dining hall. But they were maybe not going to be as flexible with you when it came down to finals week.
Which I think is a huge consideration.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So work study qualifications are based upon your FAFSA filing?
Typically, yes.
Okay.
There are some schools that offer like institutional financial aid with institutional work study opportunities. But generally speaking, those eligibilities are still coming through the FAFSA.
So it's not like you go to the college website and you look up, work study opportunities. Does it work like that?
I mean, you can. So a lot of schools have like hey, here's a listing of our work study jobs.
Okay.
But if you need to know if you're eligible for work study, you still have to jump through those hoops to apply for it.
Okay.
So other than that, are there any other maybe institutional or outside of that, any other funding, private funding and stuff that, or in addition to what you've already mentioned? Because obviously a lot of the scholarships, I don't know if I'd call it private funding, but in a way it is. If it's community based, then it's not through the school or through the feds. So
Yeah, I typically anything that isn't through the school the student is attending or through the Department of Education at the state or federal level, I'm considering that private scholarship, even if it's coming from a public entity. Um, most of the things you're going to see are going to be labeled scholarship. You'll see some grants. You'll see some things that are labeled award. Award, though, I generally see as more like a FAFSA completed award. So you did your FAFSA by the deadline this year. Congratulations. Here's $500. For brand new students, you'll see a lot of like incentives to attend new students days or orientations, and you might get a small financial award for doing that. That's less common as you move forward through the years of school. But in terms of like actually hunting for funding, you're really looking for scholarships.
Okay.
That's really kind of what it comes down to.
got it.
Cool.
Got it.
Great. Wow, that's a lot of information, but a lot of helpful information.
Yeah.
So thank you
very
so much
so.
for sharing with us.
Yeah.
So how would people go about getting in touch with Granite Advance about scholarship opportunities? Like, what would be some of the next steps for
Yeah.
some people to get in touch with you guys?
Yeah, so I think our website is really the place to go. It's graniteadvance.org. We have a resource library in there with a bunch of different stuff on financial aid, college admissions processes, accessibility in the college space, all that sort of stuff. There's also all of our contact information, and there's the ability to book an appointment directly with a member of our team to sit down and talk about really any part of the process you might be stuck in, whether that's the application process, applying for scholarships, applying for our scholarship, or figuring out the private loan space at that point.
Cool.
That's awesome.
And is that complimentary, or is there a charge for that?
All of our college planning resources are entirely free.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Awesome.
Just wanted to get that clear for anyone who's listening.
Yeah.
This is a free resource, guys, so it's out there and available. Awesome.
Granite Edvance, it's a solid resource.
So, let's see. Solid like granite. Is that where you're going with
Yes,
that?
yes.
Yeah, I got it.
That's what I bring to this podcast, so I have to make sure I get something in there for all the...
Got to get a chuckle in there. We love it. Awesome. Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah.
At this time, we're going to run into our rapid fire segment. So we
Yep.
gave you a little info about this before the recording, but Kevin's going to run this segment for you.
Yes, as we said before we started, we just like to do this fun thing with our guests just so that we can have a few interesting details about you as a person. So I'll go through these really quick and then one word answer, if however you'd like to answer these.
Okay.
So first one, Apple or Android?
Android.
Okay. Good choice. Favorite style or go-to style of music?
Folk indie.
Folk indie.
fun.
Okay. I'm not allowed to ask anything else. So. How about favorite movie or perhaps one that you've watched multiple times?
Oh, I've seen Finding Nemo so many times.
I love
Oh,
Finding Nemo.
okay. Let's see. Ideal vacation.
Somewhere warm.
Go-to hobby or how do you use your downtime, free time?
Anything artsy, pottery, knitting, really bad painting.
Well, this next one might be, so any special or hidden talent other than what you've just mentioned?
Special time. I sing, I dance, I act, I write plays, all that sort of stuff.
Oh, wow. That's cool. Place you'd most like to visit?
Colorado is really high on my list right now. I know I just said warm, but really like to go see some mountains. Apparently, that
Yeah.
are not ours.
It's a bit rocky at times. Dunks or Starbucks?
Starbucks.
Okay. And last one, because of what you said about your interests, favorite musical?
Come From Away.
I am unfamiliar with that one.
Same.
Ooh, it's really gorgeous. It is It's about a community impacted by 9/11 in Canada. So it is about the planes that landed
Oh,
after all the
maybe I
fires that
have heard
died.
of this.
It's really
Oh,
cool. If you
okay.
ever have the chance to see it,
Wow.
it's beautiful.
Awesome.
Were you ever in that yourself?
I have not been yet, but they just released the community rights, so I know it is making its way through the local theater circuit. Um, this summer, the kind of all the summer theaters are exploding with it, so you'll see it in the area.
Okay.
Very cool.
Okay. That's all I have.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharleigh.
Anybody who's interested, reach out to Granite Advance for more information on any of these topics. And we really appreciate having you guys on. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks for tuning into this episode. If you liked it, hit that like or subscribe button and follow us on social media. We really appreciate you tuning in. Thanks to our subscribers. Thank you to our sponsor, Triangle Credit Union. And we hope you'll catch us next time on the Making Money Personal podcast. Take care.